Have you ever felt like you're always surrounded by noise, demands, and endless notifications? While modern life encourages constant interaction, monks and spiritual practitioners have long embraced solitude as a gateway to clarity and self-discovery. How do they transform aloneness into a powerful tool for inner growth? Drawing inspiration from Gautama Buddha and centuries of monastic wisdom, this guide explores why spending time alone can unlock insights, deepen self-awareness, and revitalize your entire approach to living. Ready to discover the monk's secret to solitude? Why solitude matters in a noisy world. In our hyper-connected age, solitude may feel like a luxury or even a punishment. But for monks, quiet alone time isn't about isolating themselves from society. Rather, it's a deliberate step to reduce distractions and engage more deeply with their own minds. Gautama Buddha saw that constant social and sensory input can scatter our attention, leaving little room for introspection. By stepping away, even briefly, from the hustle, we create a calm space where we can observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment. Think about how often you bounce from one task to another, rarely pausing to reflect. Solitude breaks that cycle, freeing you from the external expectations that drive your daily routine. In Buddhist practice, this reprieve from worldly clamor is an essential ingredient for cultivating mindfulness and compassion. Instead of feeling lonely, you discover an environment of peace that gently reveals what's happening inside you. Solitude thus transforms from a sign of disconnection into a doorway to deeper self-knowing. Buddha's encounter with loneliness and insight. Gautama Buddha's own journey highlights the importance of solitude. After leaving his princely life, he wandered and studied with various teachers, trying extreme ascetic practices in remote forests. What might have seemed lonely to an outsider was, for Buddha, a chance to quiet external influences and confront the root causes of suffering head-on. He found that genuine insight often emerges in the stillness of solitary contemplation rather than in the busyness of communal life. Interestingly, Buddha didn't reject society forever. Once enlightened, he returned to teach others. Still, his path underscores the value of withdrawing periodically to understand the mind's workings. Time alone allowed him to clarify his intentions, observe his wandering thoughts, and develop the techniques that would form the basis of Buddhist wisdom. This balance, periods of solitude interspersed with compassionate engagement, serves as a model for how we, too, can benefit from alone time without cutting ourselves off from the world. Distinguishing solitude from isolation. Although monks spend regular intervals in solitude, they don't view it as total disconnection. In Buddhist culture, solitude is not equivalent to loneliness. Instead, it's about directing attention inward to foster self-awareness and emotional balance. In contrast, isolation can be a state of feeling removed from meaningful relationships or support, often leading to despair. Monks embrace solitude with a sense of purpose, to refine their minds, deepen their compassion, and return to society with clearer insight. We can learn from this distinction. Spending time alone should be intentional and constructive, not an escape from reality. It might involve meditation, journaling, mindful walks, or simple reflection on daily experiences. When approached with awareness and curiosity, solitude becomes a nourishing practice rather than a sign of social withdrawal. You might even find your capacity for empathy growing after a period of quiet reflection as you return to your social spheres with renewed perspective. Cultivating mindfulness in stillness. One of the greatest monk secrets is using solitude to strengthen mindfulness. When you're alone, distractions dip, and you can observe the mind's chatter more clearly. Monks often dedicate hours to silent meditation, aware of each breath and sensation. This deepened focus doesn't just happen spontaneously. It arises from repeated practice in an environment that supports introspection. For you, practicing mindfulness in solitude might look like setting aside a few minutes to sit quietly each day, concentrating on your breath, or a simple activity like sipping tea. Notice the urge to check your phone or fill the silence with external stimuli. Each time that urge appears, gently acknowledge it and return to the quiet. Over time, you'll discover how much mental space is freed when you're not constantly reacting to the outside world. This mental clarity can improve your creativity, reduce stress, and sharpen problem-solving abilities. How silence reveals emotional landscapes. In the swirl of everyday life, emotions often get pushed aside or masked by busyness. Solitude strips away those distractions, inviting you to meet your feelings head-on, whether it's suppressed anger, lingering sadness, or silent hopes you've neglected. Monks use silence to explore these emotional landscapes, not to indulge in them, but to understand them at a deeper level. Buddha taught that suffering is fueled by our ignorance of how emotions arise and fade. When you spend quality time alone, these hidden emotions float to the surface. This can feel uncomfortable, but it's a crucial step toward healing and self-awareness. Think of solitude as a safe container where you can examine feelings without the pressure to perform or please others. Journaling about whatever emerges, be it frustration or joy, can help you process it with greater lucidity. The result is often a lighter emotional load and a better grasp of what truly drives your behavior. Finding insight and purpose in aloneness. One reason monks consistently return to solitude is the insight it brings about life's deeper questions. What do I value? What do I want to achieve? How can I ease my own suffering and that of others? These questions sometimes remain buried in daily chaos, never fully addressed. Solitude creates a natural pause for these reflections to surface and crystallize. During quiet contemplation, you might recognize that certain goals aren't truly yours, or that your relationships require more openness, or that some habits no longer serve you. By facing these truths calmly, you pave the way for purposeful change. In Buddhism, purpose aligns with ethical living and compassion, factors that can be realized only when distractions are minimized. Imagine dedicating half an hour each week to simply sit with your life's direction, thinking about your next steps with a clear, unhurried mind. Over time, these sessions can yield a stronger sense of mission and more decisive actions, reflecting the monk's dedication to conscious living. Practical tips for healthy solitude. Spending time alone can seem challenging if you're new to it, so here are some practical steps inspired by monastic life and Buddhist wisdom. First, try scheduling mini-retreats by picking a quiet spot, your bedroom, a park, or even a parked car, and commit to a short daily or weekly session of solitude. It might last just 10 minutes or stretch to an hour. During this time, consider a digital detox. Switch your phone to silent or airplane mode, ensuring you're not breaking the silence with endless pings. As you settle in, practice mindful observation by starting each session with awareness of your breath or surroundings, much like a monk beginning meditation. Keep a notebook for journaling and reflection, jotting down thoughts, emotions, or sudden insights as they arise. This habit merges the monk's introspective tradition with modern, practical recording. Lastly, remember small acts of self-compassion. If difficult emotions surface, treat them gently. Buddha emphasized kindness for oneself as well as others, so speak to yourself gently, acknowledging struggles without judgment. As you implement these ideas, you'll discover that solitude becomes less about loneliness and more about renewing your mental and emotional reserves. This shift can boost creativity, reduce stress, and deepen your sense of connection once you rejoin the bustle of everyday life. Combining solitude with connection. The monk's secret isn't solitary confinement. It's balanced solitude that complements their communal obligations and acts of service. They might spend hours each day alone in meditation, then join community discussions or charitable activities. For you, the takeaway is not to vanish from your social circles, but to intersperse pockets of alone time that feed your soul. Once you emerge from these silent intervals, you may find your relationships become richer. Having spent time listening to yourself, you're better equipped to listen to others. The quiet fosters resilience against life's inevitable stressors, letting you show up more fully for friends, family, or colleagues. Buddha's ultimate mission was to reduce suffering for all, and that compassion extends to how you use your alone time to become a calmer, kinder presence in the world. In a culture that glorifies constant interaction, Setting aside quiet moments might feel counterintuitive. Yet, as monks and Buddha have shown, solitude is a powerful tool for clarity, emotional balance, and genuine insight. Even a few minutes of intentional aloneness can spark inner transformation. What step toward healthy solitude will you try first? Share your thoughts below. And if you found value here, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Monk Mindset, for more wisdom on finding peace in a noisy world. May your solitary moments lead to deeper connection and understanding.